Now, President Trump went on a complete rampage following last night's disastrous ABC News interview. Now, in that interview, he said he'd be willing to accept dirt on political opponents, even if it came from the Chinese, the Russians, or even from Norway. How dare you, Norway? In fact, I want to go and show you a video of that to show it in context. Let's take a look.
Your campaign this time around, if foreigners, if Russia, if China, if someone else offers you information on an opponent, should they accept it or should they call the FBI?
I think maybe you do both. I think you might want to listen. There's nothing wrong with listening. If somebody called from a country, Norway, we have information on your opponent. Oh, I think I'd want to hear it.
You want that kind of interference in our elections?
It's not an interference. They have information. I think I'd take it. If I thought there was something wrong, I'd go maybe to the FBI if I thought there was something wrong. But when somebody comes up with Oppo research, right? They come up with Oppo research. Oh, let's call the FBI. The FBI doesn't have enough agents to take care of it. But you go and talk honestly to congressmen. They all do it. They always have. And that's the way it is. It's called Oppo research.
All right, so I kind of dissected why that was completely wrong and also illegal on another video. You can subscribe, of course, to catch that. But following this, and of course following his, as usual, doubling down of saying something stupid, in a series of tweets, the president decided to attack Democrats and then use that to claim that Democrats had spied on him. Let me give you the tweets here. He said, when Senator Mark Warner, VA, spoke at length and in great detail about extremely negative information on me, with a talented entertainer purporting to be a Russian operative, did he immediately call the FBI? No. In fact, he didn't even tell the Senate Intelligence Committee, of which he is a member. When Representative Adam Schiff took calls from another person, also very successfully purporting to be a Russian operative. Really? How successfully? Okay, how does he know all this? The answer is he doesn't, but let's continue. Did he call the FBI? Or even think to call the FBI? No. The fact is that the phony witch hunt is a giant scam where Democrats and other really bad people spied on my campaign. They even had an insurance policy, not detailing what that is, just in case crooked Hillary and the Democrats lost the race for the presidency. Okay, where's the insurance policy? Oh, that must have been in reference to the Mueller report. But he continues by saying, or ends by saying, this is the biggest and worst political scandal in the history of the United States of America. Sad. You've got to love the desperation in these tweets. It's amazing. Okay, so now let's get to the claims, right? So now he claims Warner and Schiff, they got approached by the Russians with Oppo research against Donald Trump, and they didn't even call the FBI. How dare he? So naturally, whenever Donald Trump says something, you look into it, right? And if you look into it, as I have, you find out that, of course, it's a pack of lies. Now, both Schiff and Warner said they did call the FBI about contacts that Trump had mentioned, and their communications at the time backed that up. Now, the situation that Donald Trump was referring to, and he got it, of course, mixed around. He got Warner and Schiff mixed around. But with Schiff, the whole thing happened starting back in the year of our Lord 2017. Now, Schiff spoke to someone by phone purporting to be a Ukrainian government official, claiming to have proof that the Russians had compromising information or compromise on Donald Trump. Wow, that sounds super serious. So now, Schiff, I'm assuming, at least according to Trump assumes, he's very interested and didn't call the FBI whatsoever. Now, that call actually was a prank call from 2 Russian comedians. And those Russian comedians actually leaked out that information, leaked out that call, so we can hear what Schiff had said. Now, in the audio that came out last year, was reported in The Atlantic, Schiff tells the caller that he's going to speak to the FBI and encourages the official to do the same. So they call him up, these pranksters do, and they say, "Hey, Adam Schiff, we have got compromat on Donald Trump. Would you like to hear?" And Schiff says, "I got to call the FBI first, and you need to call the FBI too if there's something there." That would, in fact, okay. Let me give you the exact quote that Schiff says, quote, "I'll be in touch with the FBI about this, and we'll make arrangements with your staff. I think it would probably be best to provide these materials both to our committee and to the FBI." Schiff also said that he called the FBI before speaking to the pranksters. Quote, "We did go to the FBI. The first thing we did was call the FBI, even before we received the call from these individuals." So, oops. Donald Trump, once again, caught in a lie. And of course, the reason that he does this is because he said during that interview, "I wouldn't call the FBI. Nobody would call the FBI." Turns out, nope, absolutely wrong. All right, moving on. So he also mentioned Mark Warner. Now, for Warner, Trump is referring to likely his lengthy text message exchange in 2017 with a man named Adam Waldman. Now, Adam Waldman is somebody who is connected to both Christopher Steele, the author of the Steele dossier, and the Russian oligarch Oleg Deripaska, who I've mentioned on this show before. Subscribe and you can go back and look at those videos. Now, when Waldman initially reached out over text message, Warner had called the FBI about the communication. Derp. Now, in the text message exchange between Warner and Waldman, Warner responds to Waldman's initial request and phone call by saying, quote, "Have had important call about your message. Will have answer tomorrow." That call was to the Federal Bureau of Investigation, according to a Warner aide. Waldman also notes that after that, he was speaking to officials from the Department of Justice. He said, quote, and this happened several weeks after they began communicating, "DOJ called me today. We will talk at 5:30. So, there we have it. Again. Now, Trump also lied about them not telling Congress. In fact, Senate Intelligence Chairman Richard Burr, who's a Republican, was aware of the communications with Waldman, and the committee leaders told panel members about the text messages before they were made public. Senator Warner, and this is Marco Rubio now, saying this, Senator Warner fully disclosed this to the committee 4 months ago. He has had zero impact on our work, and that's all he says. And he tweeted that after the text became public. So who's lying in this instance? Well, that would be, of course, Donald Trump. He can't help himself. He's a walking disaster. I mean, who lets this guy on TV? Funny enough, Laura Ingraham asked the same question. That ABC interview, after it aired, her biggest criticism was, who made this happen? Why was he on TV? Who put a mic in front of his face and allowed him to talk? You can't do that. No, you can't do that. Why? It's because they know he's an idiot. They know that once you stick a mic in front of his face, he's going to say something incredibly stupid. He has already admitted openly to being open to collusion, right? Or in this case, if you don't like the word collusion, if that triggers you somehow, in this case, it would be taking campaign contributions from foreign countries. Now, that would also be a campaign finance violation, right? Now, this can come in the form of direct contributions or even indirect contributions being funneled through different various state parties, etc., state or national parties or national groups, etc., or even in the form of opposition research, oppo research, as they call it. That is a crime. Donald Trump is saying, oh, yeah, I'd commit crime. You know why? Because he's a criminal. If he says that that he would do it without a problem, it's likely that he's probably already done it. And we just had an investigation about this entire thing. And here he's admitting, on the one hand, witch hunt, or on one hand, witch hunt, on the other hand, totally would do it. That's why they don't want him to talk. But he does it anyway. He can't help himself. And as I've seen, of course, Donald Trump's a monumental idiot. He is not smart enough to cover up his crimes. And also not smart enough to apparently avoid talking about them. Sad. Hey guys, hopefully you enjoyed that free video. Now I'm going to have to ask you a favor. Between the demonetization and the YouTube algorithm messing around with view counts, etc., we're having a hard time adjusting to the new YouTube reality, which is where you guys come in. See, we have a Patreon, patreon.com/TYTNation, set up to help us rely on you guys, the viewers, instead of big corporate ads. Look, you know the show. You know I'm not in favor of big corporations anyway. So help us transition away from relying on the ad model to pay the bills and sign up to be a patron, patreon.com/TYTNation. That goes a long way to help us keep the lights on. And you guys will know that you're supporting independent progressive media.